Hello everyone, that's Jamie.
That's Brandon.
And we need movies. Welcome to our inaugural episode, first episode.
Very exciting.
We're going to be talking about movies. Our love for movies, what we think of new releases, movies I bought on Blu-ray, all kinds of just movies. So we start out every episode with what we watched that week. So Jamie, why don't you kick us off with what you watched last week?
Well, first, as many of you have no clue about, I do a weekly series where it's called 52 Pickup, where I write about a movie I watched, one a week, about something I grew up with as a child and whether it holds up or not.
Mm-hmm.
And the first one for last week was actually Kingpin, the 1996 classic.
Farrelly Brothers directed.
One of my top three favorite Farrelly Brothers movies, actually.
What are your other? There's Something About Mary?
No.
Really?
Nope.
Okay.
Me, Myself, and Irene, Dumb and Dumber, and Kingpin.
Dumb and Dumber, absolutely. Me, Myself, and Irene, that's a fun one. But anyway,
I don't know, man.
Kingpin, Bill Murray steals that movie. He is hilarious. Woody Harrelson, though, and Randy Quaid, their interplay back and forth.
Angel.
Yes, just a very funny, well, not a bowling spoof, but just kind of takes place in the world of bowling.
Yeah.
And kind of pokes fun at the sports genre. And it's real fun.
I usually don't care for it, and I really enjoyed this one. I felt like I was watching ESPN2 at the end, and it just really was a bowling tournament.
Yeah.
Bill Murray's like one of the best villains, because he's just his swagger. He just didn't give a shit about anything.
Yeah.
And it's great.
This is actually also a movie that I purchased this week on DVD. I normally don't buy DVDs, but I've been getting into the habit of like buying movies that I know won't come to Blu-ray for a really long time, or ever, or are already on Blu-ray, but I don't want to spend a whole bunch of money on it. I just realized like half of these movies won't ever get to Blu-ray or a digital release. They'll just be lost in the ether of time, and you know what I mean? So it's just like, why not have it? I love physical media. So anyway, I picked up Disney's The Parent Trap remake with starring Lindsay Lohan.
And Lindsay Lohan.
Dennis Quaid, Natasha Richardson, R.I.P.
That's right, yeah.
Crazy, that was crazy.
Course, yeah.
I haven't seen this movie in a really long time, but it came out in '98, and I remember watching it, because I had sisters. I remember watching this again and again and again. But it's a decent movie, so I rewatched it with my girlfriend, and just to see if it kind of held up. And it's an entertaining movie. It's still, like, the effect of her character and, like, talking to herself and stuff. It still works. It's still an enjoyable comedy.
I didn't know she wasn't a twin until yesterday.
Yeah, no.
Then I watched a movie I kind of put off for a while. My goddaughter wanted to see it, so I was up seeing my family. We watched Zootopia.
Oh, I have not seen this. Was it good?
It's pretty good. Like, I had a friend who kind of talked it up a little too much.
I've heard. I mean, it was 98% or something on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, and it is a really good movie. Like, it's a cool whodunit kind of thing, and there's a cool idea. It's a lot of themes about racial diversity and acceptance. It was really kind of cool.
Okay.
Voice cast is great. Jason Bateman's perfect, douchey character.
Yeah. No.
And then
Jennifer
Goodwin, yeah. She just needs to do more.
And Idris Elba, interesting, also in that film as well. And stars in the movie that we might as well just talk about now. Came out last week in theaters, and we both wound up seeing it separately. The Jungle Book, Disney's remake of the 1967 animated adaptation. There's been countless, well, not countless, there's probably been like 4 or 5 adaptations of Rudyard Kipling's novel or story or whatever. And Jamie, what did you think of this one?
I went into the movie. I had seen the first trailer. I'm like, it's all right. And then I heard, okay, Favreau's doing it. Yeah, that'd been a news article for a long time. And then I'm like, the cast is coming together. I'm like, oh, Idris Elba and Christopher Walken, and I'm like, okay, this is pretty cool. Bill Murray. I'm like, okay, this is really good. And then the second trailer really sold me. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna watch this. I like watching movies at least once a week if I can. So I was gonna see it anyway, but I was really actually kind of excited to see it, and then it far exceeded my expectations. It was just a great adaptation of that same story, and really creepy how real the animals
my god, they were photorealistic in parts. You really forget you're listening to just talking animals, carry on conversations.
And it was funny too, because they stayed true to the first movie in a way where it was more like that fine line the movies in the 80s and prior used to do with family films. It was a little more darker than most family films nowadays, which is refreshing because it's never a thing anymore.
Yeah, no, the boy is in danger, mortal danger for the entire movie.
And Idris Elba is one of the best villains.
Oh my gosh, him, Bill Murray, fantastic. I love that there was music in it, but it didn't stop the movie to do a musical number. Which really, if you look back at that 1967 movie, I mean, it really doesn't have the strongest of narratives. It's just like one scene to the next, singing, and it's enjoyable. I love the movie, but visual effects were fantastic. A movie I can't wait to revisit, actually.
And it was one of those movies that had a really good. It adapted this silly nature of the first one to a really serious tone without losing a lot of the elements of the film.
Yeah, there's a lot of humor still
It's a really good good way of translating it, so it was cool.
And Neil Sethi, the kid who plays Mowgli, I mean, fantastic job working off little tennis balls, I'm assuming, or people talking. Like,
yeah, oh yeah.
Great job, all around.
National Lampoon Senior Trip. Have you ever seen this?
No, I've never seen this.
So, National Lampoon slaps its name on some very iffy films. Like, most of the films they have on their collection aren't that good. Like
the ratio, I would say. Yeah. I gotcha.
But this one, this whole month of April had been like, is it nostalgia or is it really funny? And with Senior Trip, it's more nostalgia than funny. Okay. It's pretty dumb, but it's fun. It's really 90s. They don't hold back in like homophobic or racial things.
Okay,
So it's kind of like
dated a bit
of its time. Yeah. But Matt Frewer's in it. I love Matt Frewer. He's played a really good role as the principal, and like Tommy Chong has a role in it, and most importantly, Jeremy Renner is the lead teenager.
Oh wow!
He's super young. Like it's weird to see. I never thought he'd make anything. Like any of these guys would come up with anything. But
that's really fun.
It was pretty cool, and it's nice to see again. But if you haven't seen it, you might want to watch it. It's up to you.
Okay.
I wouldn't outright recommend it.
Yeah. All right, so now we go into the section of the show where I talk about the movies I bought. Normally I buy a Blu-ray or two every week.
100.
No, there are plenty of Blu-rays. I have, between Blu-rays and DVDs, I probably have like 2,000 titles. I want to develop a cinema library someday with the rungs and like I can fly around it.
Wow.
That's not a real ambition, but I do want to continue building my library. So I've been picking up some DVDs, as I told you. So there's some DVDs, mostly DVD pickups, sadly, because these were all a lot of cheap ones. But the new release this week on Blu-ray and DVD was The Revenant, Alejandro G. Inarritu's masterpiece. I really love this film. We'll actually probably be talking about this later when we talk about our top 10 of the year, or top 15 rather.
Yeah.
Top 15 of 2015. I've never had a chance to talk about that, so we'll get to that later. But first up, The Revenant, Leonardo DiCaprio, Tom Hardy. I can't wait to see this in Blu-ray.
Yeah.
This was a movie that I saw the 4K release of, and like if I had a 4K TV or 4K Blu-ray, if I go that route, if they catch on or however that goes, this would be one of the few films I'd actually I would want to purchase for you, just to get it all. But there wasn't any exclusive steelbooks as of now. Nothing, so you're gonna get the same thing no matter where you go. But as of now, I'm sure it'll be a film that gets one later, or something like that. Yeah. But this is a good enough addition for me right now. And the other Blu-ray that I picked up was only $5 and it's Total Recall. I've never seen Total Recall.
What?
There are movies, that's what I'm trying to do right now, is watch movies that I should have seen, that I know that have just passed me by, that I know the plot of it, I've seen scenes from it, I know a lot about it. I just have never actually sat down, watched it front to back. I know.
Believe me, folks, I'm just as surprised as you. I did not know this.
Yeah, it's a movie that I'm very looking forward to. Paul Verhoeven, I'm a fan of Starship Troopers, Basic Instinct. He's got a lot of great cheesy,
RoboCop.
Yeah, fun. Yeah, absolutely. So, Total Recall. I'm anxiously awaiting to finally sit down and watch this. This, by the way, there was a bunch of controversy. I remember because I was going to buy this a while ago, but there's a lot of controversy on the Blu-ray transfer. I guess it was a terrible transfer earlier, and they've redone it like 4 or 5 times. This is the 2015 edition, so I know it's the most recent.
Okay, cool.
So, and it says the transfer was director approved. I don't know if that means you watched it. I was like, yeah, good, go, bye. And then I picked up some DVDs, a bunch of movies from the past that I haven't seen since probably the late 90s, early 2000s, that I just wanted in my collection. Again, not movies that I'll rewatch a bunch, but movies I've seen so many times, or just movies that I wanted on DVD. They don't need to be on Blu-ray. I just wanted them.
So you haven't seen any of these?
Well, only one of these I have not seen. All the other ones I have seen very many times.
Can I guess after?
Which one you've seen? Which
one do you think?
Well, the one that I haven't seen. I guess if you want to... Anyway, Pay It Forward. Kevin Spacey,
Please.
Helen Hunt, Haley Joel Osment. Have you ever seen this?
I have seen it once. I don't remember a damn thing.
It's very melodramatic. Ending's very sad. Spoiler alert. But...
Everybody's a ghost.
But, yeah. But it's a cool little premise, a nice drama. It's very... Like I said, it's very cheesy. But a good movie. It's not bad. It's not bad. The next one I picked up, these two are actually kind of interchangeable. It's Double Jeopardy and Kiss the Girls. You seen either of these?
Ashley Judd.
Yeah, Ashley Judd, late 90s thrillers.
Double Jeopardy, I know I have seen that one. But
okay. Kiss the Girls is she was abducted by a serial killer, and then she hires, the private investigator Alex Cross, which was the character that Tyler Perry later destroyed.
Okay. Yeah, I think he did great.
Morgan Freeman. Really cool little, just like, 90s thriller. Same with Double Jeopardy. She's accused of murdering her husband. played by Bruce Greenwood.
Oh,
and
great.
Yeah,
actor.
and he, she finds out that obviously that she didn't kill him. She goes to jail, serves the time, and then when she gets out, she's like, I'm going to kill him now because I've already been served the time for it.
But
So
essentially,
Jeopardy,
it's essentially like a remake of Double Indemnity.
whatever. I don't know.
I haven't seen it in a long time.
Either way, Double Jeopardy and Kiss the Girls are two fairly classy 90s late 90s thriller. Oh, Jack? You remember this movie?
The best Coppola.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, this was actually directed by Francis Ford Coppola in '96, I believe.
Yep.
And also stars Jennifer Lopez and Bill Cosby for what it's worth. It's just, again. But features a great performance by Robin Williams. I'm trying to get a lot of his older stuff. There's still a bunch that I gotta pick up, like The Fisher King and Awakenings I still gotta get.
I've not seen that.
But, this isn't a great movie by any means. The premise is Robin Williams is born and
he has a rapid
aging disorder, I guess.
Yeah.
And so he looks like a 40-year-old man when he's like 10, and by the time he graduates, he looks like he's 90.
Some pretty cool moments in there. It's just really sad. I don't know. It's just so like unnecessarily sad.
What about Ants?
Saddest movie in the world.
No, Ants is still not on Blu-ray. This came out the same year. This was DreamWorks. Yeah, same year.
That was the inaugural DreamWorks film.
This is the first. A lot of people say Shrek is, but actually it's Ants. But yeah, it came out the exact same year as A Bug's Life and was kind of overshadowed by that movie. And I think if you look at those two movies, they're kind of the brand for both companies. If you think about it, A Bug's Life is more uplifting, a lot more kind of character-driven, and this is more like a lot of jokes, and it's a little more risque, but it's bright and colorful, and it's fun.
I remember liking this better than Bug's Life.
I know. Looking back, I think A Bug's Life is a better film. I think this movie's more entertaining, especially as a kid. When I was a kid, I loved the Starship Trooper bugs eating, and like Gene Hackman and Sylvester Stallone, Woody Allen. If you haven't seen Ants and you're a fan of DreamWorks animation or animation movies in general, definitely check it out. It's worth watching. Speaking of sad, I Am Sam. This movie, it was, first of all, whenever I see the cover, I think of Robert Downey Jr. Don't go there.
Don't go full.
Don't go full Sean Penn. But I Am Sam, a great performance. He plays a mentally challenged father who's like fighting for custody rights of his daughter, played by Dakota Fanning. Also a great performance. This one movie got ripped apart by critics when it was first released. But he actually still garnered an Oscar nomination for the performance.
Nomination?
Yeah, nomination.
Keyword.
Yeah, nomination keyword. But I Am Sam, if you haven't seen this movie and you want to just cry and feel, I
think about it every day.
Super depressing. Super depressing.
I have not seen it.
You've never seen it? Really good performances, I'm telling you. Why are you doubting it?
I'm not doubting you. I just think it's fun.
The one movie I've never seen is Pleasantville. And I picked it up. Yeah.
Good.
I've heard it's very good. I like the premise of them going into a 50s sitcom.
I love that idea.
And so it's a good movie?
The 50s mindset, like everything was so like vanilla and sweet and innocent, and then like Pleasantville, as Toby and I think
Reese Witherspoon
get into the world, it becomes more like modern day in terms of lifestyle, like a little more risque and that kind of thing. Like
because they're 90s teenagers, right?
Yeah.
Going back.
Yeah.
But it looks like it's got a great cast: Jeff Daniels, William H.
John
Macy.
Allen.
Directed by Gary Ross, who went on to do the Hunger Games. And the last movie I picked up was Titan A.E. Have you ever seen this movie? Okay, this movie, directed by Don Bluth, who did American Tail and All Dogs Go to Heaven.
Yep.
This movie had a pretty big budget when it was released in 2000, and it was like an animated science fiction movie for like, I would say like tweens to low teens. It's got its moments of action and suspense and stuff. It's voiced by Matt Damon, Bill Pullman, and Drew Barrymore, John Leguizamo. It's got a decent voice cast.
Pretty cool.
But I always remember I used to like this movie. It's very Star Warsy, but not nearly as good. But it's an entertaining science fiction animated movie that just got lost, completely forgotten. No one ever talks about it. And just to remind people that it's out there, Titan A.E.
Came out the same year as Treasure Planet, right?
It came out in 2000, so okay. And it also has this like classic late 90s 2000 alternative rock soundtrack like that they all were coming out with back in that day. So like some Creed and you got it. All right, now this is the part of the show where we talk about movie news, trailer stuff, just stuff we've heard. Jamie, take it away.
There's a lot of weird things going on this week.
Okay.
So first off, in the vein of weird, Doctor Strange trailer came out.
Yes.
I like the tone was really off and different than Marvel's normal fare.
Yes.
I mean, granted, Marvel's films are usually some kind of subgenre anyway, but the Doctor Strange trailer had vibes of like Inception, it had
Matrix.
Matrix, yeah. I noticed it was really reserved and it was holding back a lot.
For sure.
I mean, it's a teaser, which should be.
Yeah.
But you can tell there's a lot more to talk about.
No, I find him engaging in this trailer. I'm interested in the character. I love the cast. Chiwetel Ejiofor, Tilda Swinton,
Chosen one.
And is it Mads Mikkelsen?
Mads Mikkelsen is the villain. We haven't seen him yet.
I'm looking forward to this release. Again, I'm going into it with Scott Derrickson directing. Who did
a lot of horror
from Evil, Sinister. Yeah, very rooted in horror. Yep. So it'll be interesting to see what he can do. I like the visuals so far, and we'll see.
So Marvel has a penchant for nailing the director to like what kind of tone they're looking for.
Absolutely,
to achieve. Like, for some reason, they knew the Russo brothers would be good with Captain America. It didn't make any sense at first to me.
Yeah.
I'm kind of worried because all they ever directed was a couple episodes of Community.
Right.
And then it's like, holy shit! Now they're dealing with the entire Civil War and now Avengers: Infinity War.
Oh yeah, James Gunn, the same thing. He done Slither and a few other Super. Yeah. I love that movie.
Great. But so it has a lot of potential. I can't wait to see the next trailer.
Yeah, I'm more excited than I was before, which I guess is what a trailer does. It's not my most anticipated of the year, certainly, but I'm interested to see where this one goes.
Yep. So, CinemaCon's I think still going on, and there was a logo reveal for Zombieland 2.
Really?
Yeah. And all the people are back. Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick are back.
Okay.
To write it.
The writers,
yes. But I don't know what else is going to be, who's behind it.
So Jesse Eisenberg, Woody Harrelson, are they...
I don't know. We don't know
anything. We just got a logo.
Yeah.
I would so be down for Zombieland 2.
I'm worried, though. Like, the way that comedy sequels are nowadays, like, everything comes back.
Yes.
And it's mostly miss.
But I think that Zombieland set itself up to be this entire world-building thing where there's so many... It's not like The Hangover where it's like this premise can really only be done so many ways. It's like, it sets up this world of a zombie apocalypse and you set a comedy in that. You go pretty endless places, especially with, who's it, Ruben Fleischer directing? If he comes back, I would be down for that. That'd be something I'd watch.
I'm kind of worried, though. Like, if they're going to write this, which I think they are, then they're going to be writing... Deadpool 2, have finally been officially confirmed. Everybody's coming back. Tim Miller, the director, the writers again.
Ryan Reynolds.
And Ryan Reynolds are coming back.
Who knew he would come back? That's
right. I know. I thought it'd be like.
I was expecting a cast change, but I'm very excited to see where they go. I hope they don't rush it. I don't know if they've set a release date yet.
I think it's one of the unannounced 2017.
Okay.
Like they have Fox has a couple of unannounced title dates.
Yeah. They
usually do that and figure what fits. But I think it's like February, March, so it makes sense.
I feel more at ease when I notice that the script is done, that they have a story, they have an idea that they want. There's a furthering of the story. It's not just, cash grab.
Well, and to that effect, there are a lot of reasons to be okay with this because they've been planning the second one for a long time now.
Yes.
I think they've already started writing it. As soon as the first one, before the first one came out, because they've been trying to make the first one for 10 years.
No, exactly.
And then the fact that they keep those dates unannounced in case they need to swing those around.
Yep.
Scheduling or writing, whatever have you. You want to make sure it's a good thing. So usually they just mark the territory like this is our date.
Yeah.
So no one around it goes tries to mess with it.
Plus, I'm really excited to see what they do meta-wise with sequel bashing and stuff like that.
That'd be great. Like 22 Jump Street kind of in a way.
Yeah, exactly.
MIB 23.
I heard about this. So Sony plans on merging the universes of Men in Black and 21 Jump Street.
It was a thing that had been leaked in the whole Sony leaks a couple years ago. Yeah.
And I remember reading about that and just thinking that was a wild. What? Why would you do that? But if I interject and I don't know who's behind. Do you know who's behind this as of yet? Because if Phil Lord and Chris Miller,
they're definitely
made 21 and 22 Jump Street and the Lego Movie, if they're not behind it.
They're writing the second Lego Movie right now.
Okay.
And then they're going to be directing Han Solo spinoff.
Right.
So they have no time to be part of this.
Yeah, I don't know where I sit on the fence about that. Those are both two properties that I am a fan of. Certain sequels in the Men in Black, number 2 in particular. 3 wasn't great, but at least it was better than 2.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a really great Men in Black movie since '97 when the first one was released, and I love that film, and it actually holds a special place in my heart. I revisit it frequently, and just to see those characters or how they'd pass it on.
This is what weirds me out. So we're going to assume that Channing Tatum and Jonah Hill are going to be part of Men in Black.
I don't know how that's going to happen, how that elevates there. And honestly, but maybe where 22 Jump Street was so meta and kind of made fun of the sequel, maybe that's where they go with the third one. Like, it just got a... they gotta just go up to there. Like, that's how ridiculous they gotta up the ante. I don't know.
I would have been more a fan. This sounds stupid, probably. But I would have been more a fan because Sony also owns them to have Ghostbusters Men in Black crossover.
Yeah, that one would make more sense to me, but...
kind of the same vein.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't know.
R.I.P.D.
Yeah, but if Chris Miller and Phil Lord were behind it, maybe Barry Sonnenfeld. But hang on, speaking of Barry Sonnenfeld, he released a film. He released
beautiful
a trailer.
Second trailer came out this week.
9 Lives.
Best movie ever.
Kevin Spacey stars as a man who gets turned into a cat by Christopher Walken. He talks, but can't be heard, or can be heard, but doesn't move his mouth.
And yet somehow has to make amends with his family
in 1 week. Or he's a cat forever.
I don't get the movie. Like,
I'm one of those movies that makes you angry that it got greenlit when so many other things failed.
And I'm worried more so because it's like, remember the 2009 movie Funny People? It's like those movies you saw in there, Adam Sandler, like The Merman.
Oh, okay.
It's like that shitty movie that you think never could happen, and then of course he did.
It happens.
What do you do after that, Jack and Jill or something like that?
Yeah, of course.
So the point is, it's one of those movies that are like, it's a joke in another movie, and yet it's real. And yet you have Kevin Spacey and Christopher Walken and Jennifer Garner and like this cast that doesn't make any fucking sense. This movie is just... So let's talk about more crazy, and because I'm a little worried about this too. Avatar. They announced 4 more movies filming simultaneously. 4. James Cameron is losing his goddamn mind.
No, I don't understand, because we were supposed to get an Avatar sequel years ago, and it's just been getting pushed back and pushed back. And I understand that if the technology hasn't caught up to where they are, or whatever's going on in James Cameron's magnum opus of Avatar, whatever he's doing, but to push it back and then just be like, then you're gonna have 4 sequels.
He said 2, and then 3, and then 4.
Yeah.
He's like, I got more ideas.
Make one of the movies first, and then establish me. And if that goes well, like, it's been so long since Avatar, I don't think that the popularity is gonna hang on as high as well. No, I'm not saying it's not gonna do astronomical numbers, but I don't know if it'll reach the heights of the first Avatar.
Well, you think about it this way, right? So, Star Wars or other films of that ilk, they're like there's this world behind them that people fall into, and they become obsessed with it. They do fan art, they do cosplay. There's nothing of that of Avatar. Avatar is, but it's not to a smaller scale.
No, for sure.
The amount of money it made compared to how big it is of an impact on society doesn't make sense.
Next.
Speaking of directors, Ben Affleck is officially confirmed to star in, and he co-wrote and direct in the solo Batman movie.
I'm in for this.
He's done his best work as a director, and I think that's the best thing about Batman vs Superman. We've talked about that before in person, and I think this will be the best part of the whole
DC universe. Ben Affleck directing that. You look at his filmography: Gone Baby Gone, fantastic; The Town, fantastic; Argo, fantastic; and won him a Best Picture statue. The guy is a talented actor, a talented director, and I think that he could tackle the material and do something that Zack Snyder hasn't been able to do with the last 2 films that he did for DC, and that's create a realistic, grounded superhero film. And I don't even care if it's not realistic. If we get the Batman that we got in Batman v Superman, I'm down for that. I hope we get more of that. I hope it expands on that. I love the costume. I love him as the character. I'm excited for this.
I'm excited to see if they do the Joker stuff.
Sure.
There's some
with Jared Leto.
Like Jared Leto as the Joker, and then maybe having the Robin storyline or something where he killed Robin.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how he fits into Suicide Squad as well.
Yeah. Speaking of Batman, I don't know if you watched any of the animated movies DC puts out. They're really good.
I've heard they're very good.
Way better than they have any reason to be.
Yep.
And Batman: The Killing Joke was just a comic by Alan Moore, really dark Joker story, is going to be the first rated R animated film from the DC universe.
Oh, really?
It's pretty cool. It's direct to video. It's out later this year, but
okay.
Same great actors are back. Mark Hamill's back as Joker, which he said he keeps saying he's done, but they keep pulling him back in. Throw money at him.
Yeah.
Another director. There's a lot of director news lately. Jurassic World sequel has official director J.A. Bayona.
Yes, he did The Impossible. Yes, very good film.
A Monster Calls, which is something I talked to you about in person. It's a really cool movie idea. A big fish vibe of kind of a children's fantasy.
Doing the voice of a crazy
talking tree.
Yeah.
It's an ent.
But Jurassic World 2, I'm assuming Colin Trevorrow is committed to the Star Wars
Right.
And that's why he can't have time, because that looks like it's coming out not till 2018. They're holding out. They're taking a couple of years with this one, which I'm glad.
Yeah.
The Jurassic World made way more money than they ever would have expected. It was the second biggest movie of last year anyway. Sorry. One of the biggest films of all time.
So things from the 90s that come back. Oh God, I don't know what to think about this one. It's really bad. So Central Intelligence is coming out soon.
Yes.
And Dwayne Johnson and Kevin Hart are circling the Jumanji remake.
All right. Before I hear your thoughts, I want to just say this. When I first heard there was a Jumanji remake, I immediately thought that they were going to try and remake the story of Jumanji with little kids finding the thing. And when I first heard that, I was furious. One, because Jumanji is one of my favorite films from growing up. I realize it's kind of, some of the effects have dated, and it's not a perfect movie, but it's just a movie I really hold dear to my heart because it's a movie I watched again and again. I love Jumanji. When I heard that, I was so angry, and they kept I kept hearing news that it was still in production, still on the table anyway to get made, and I was like, why are they doing this? And then I saw Kevin Hart and Dwayne Johnson's name. And at first I was so confused, and I'm not excited for this. And if this prospect were to happen, I don't necessarily think I'd be excited for this. But to think that would be the direction they're going, that's the only way I'd want them to go, is just to go so far away from what Jumanji was and just do it. Like, if you do a movie about a board game with them two as the actors, sure, and you have updated effects, why not? Jumanji's not this holy grail of a film that no one can touch. It's fine if they were to remake it, if they came up with an interesting idea. And I think Kevin Hart and Dwayne Johnson is so different from, what we've been used to from the original film, that I think that's the only way I would want to see something very different. Your thoughts now?
I hate you.
Yeah.
I don't get. Are they gonna play fathers with their kids?
I don't understand.
I put this as a kid.
Understand how it's gonna happen, and I'm not saying I'm for it yet until I see anything. But just to hear those two names and Jumanji together is so weird that I'd be like, all right, I would be interested in seeing it. Would you not be interested in seeing that? Like that compared to they remake it with whoever, some dumbass
right? No,
kid.
I get it. Essentially,
they get another person to play Robin Williams' character. It's no, I don't want that. I want something completely different, because the idea of Jumanji, you could go. I understand some world building with that. The game, what happened in the game. No, you know what I mean? There's some cool stuff that could be done. Updated effects, as we talked with Jungle Book, how realistic you could make animals.
It's true.
Some cool shit they could do with that.
Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Spider-Man: Homecoming, the title.
2017.
Yes, I don't know if this takes place with a dance, or if it's a reference to it coming back to Marvel, or what they're doing.
It's like a double entendre. It's like to Marvel. It's the idea. It's based off, or it might be based off. There's I think an arc about Homecoming.
That's what I heard. I
don't know much about it. I'm excited. It has the vibe of the Spectacular Spider-Man font.
From what I hear from people from what I've seen, little bits of reviews from people who have seen Civil War, they say they loved Spider-Man. It's some of the best incarnation of one so far. Yeah, he's a scene stealer. So I'm anxious to see what he looks like in Civil War, and also his own standalone film. The title, I don't care. Whatever. Who cares? Spider-Man: Homecoming, fine.
And it's good to hear that Spider-Man was the scene stealer in the sense that he was not a letdown in any way. Which is good. So
yes.
Nicholas Winding Refn has a new movie called Neon Demon.
Yes.
Holy crap!
This trailer, crazy visuals. Elle Fanning. Keanu
Reeves somewhere.
Yeah, I don't think he's shown much in the trailer, but this looks like a crazy. It's his horror film. He calls it a horror film, and it looks like a weird examination of Hollywood stardom and what it means to be famous and all the materialistic crazy stuff. It looks crazy. I'm very excited. I saw Only God Forgives and Drive. I did not see Valhalla Rising. I love Drive. I did not find Only God Forgives particularly entertaining. I found it very long and bloated, but with scenes of extreme violence, and I enjoy his work, but on that one I was not particularly feeling it. Not a film I feel like I'll revisit.
I'm excited. It looks cool.
Me too. No, I'm excited for the Neon Demon, for sure.
So probably the most important news of all time.
Oh boy.
This sounds dumb, but there is a bidding war going on, a secret bidding war for the live-action Pokemon movie adaptation.
Okay.
That will make billions worldwide.
That would
mostly
make
China and Japan, but the idea is that this has been like one of those things that was not necessarily Nintendo, because the Pokemon Company in Japan own the rights, and Nintendo's kind of like the distributor in a way, so they don't really have a say in what goes on. And there's a lot of like contractual like negotiations when they show up in Nintendo stuff. It's really fucking stupid.
How are you getting this information that there's secret bidding wars?
Sources.
I get texts
from the Pokemon Company.
Tokyo.
Yeah. You know, they have that trailer that came out in Super Bowl with Pokemon 20th year anniversary, and then Pokemon Go is coming out, which is essentially a real-world Pokemon game. And the idea, you know, I don't play them a lot anymore, but the idea of that, I mean, this is like the first thing Nintendo's done since the Super Mario Brothers movie. If you're looking at the Nintendo side, because they've been so scared to have anything else come out.
For good reason.
It's so bad. And that was, you know, so...
I haven't done anything Pokemon related since I was probably 12 or 11, but I would watch a live-action Pokemon movie, hell yeah, with the effects we have now today, and if you get a good director and actors in there, I'll watch one, sure, yeah.
So we're doing the movies out this weekend.
Yes. As far as I know, it's really only the one, right? Oh, no, there's a few, sorry.
There's a couple smaller releases,
but
limited windows.
Snow White and the Huntsman sequel, The Huntsman, Winter's War.
I was going to say.
Yeah, well, I actually started saying it. And then
they cut her out.
Yeah, they cut her completely out.
Screw the director, done.
Yeah, that was a whole weird thing that happened. Yeah, but I don't really have a huge interest in this. The first one was fine. Again, like a decent cable watch, but I remember seeing it in theaters, and the effects were cool. I really like Charlize Theron as the queen, but other than that, it was kind of forgettable. But to cut her out and to put him in, like, I was kind of intrigued at that. And then I saw the trailer and I was like, it's gonna be more of the same. Like, I love the cast: Jessica Chastain,
Emily Blunt,
Charlize
Great
Theron.
Cast.
And Chris Hemsworth is
He's in there. That's right. He's in there.
I'm interested to see it, I guess, but I don't really care to watch it in theaters. Whatever. Also out is Elvis and Nixon.
Yeah.
Michael Shannon and Kevin Spacey. This kind of looks like a made-for-TV movie that somehow got a release. But I love the two actors. They look like they're having fun doing it. Again, not a movie I plan to see in theaters, but if it came to Netflix, I'd watch it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So now is the segment where we're going to talk about every episode. At the end, we're going to talk about some sort of topic or list that we want to discuss. Mm-hmm. Just kind of random things that we love about movies or different topics about movies. So this week, we haven't really had a platform to talk about our top 10 movies of the year. So we're going to do 15 because it was 2015. So here we go. So Jamie, why don't you start off with your number 15?
Number 15 is a movie that is very in the vein of meta humor. I love that kind of stuff. Love horror movies, so it made sense that the number 15 would be The Final Girls.
Very funny movie.
Very funny.
This was an honorable mention for me. I really enjoyed this movie.
Yeah. Thomas Middleditch, Taissa Farmiga, which I thought she was the daughter of Vera, but she's the sister because there's a big age gap.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Adam Devine is hilarious.
Oh my god, of course. It's a good, Alia Shawkat, of course. So it's a cool movie where this woman, you know, her mother's a B-movie horror star, and she dies in a car accident. So a year anniversary of her death, they go see the showing of the horror movie she was in, and there's a fire that breaks out. They go into the screen and they're in the movie. It's pretty cool, kind of like Pleasantville
or Last Action Hero.
Yeah.
But yeah, very, very cool homage to old classic 80s cheesy Friday the 13th type movies. Mm-hmm. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's a good time.
My number 15 of the year was The Big Short. Originally, I can't say I didn't care for the movie. It just didn't have the impact it had on me the second time I watched it. I watched it on Blu-ray, and I really enjoyed it that much more. Adam McKay wound up winning the Oscar for Best Writing this year, and I really tried to pay attention to the dialogue. The editing in the beginning was kind of jarring at first, but once you get used to the fast-paced rhythm of it all and what it all means, and I really enjoyed The Big Short.
They make you feel like you're having a good time. You get out of the movie, and like it really shows how shitty that was.
You're so angry by the end of this movie.
You're so mad at the mortgage companies and the lenders and all that stuff. So it's frustrating, but it's a good movie.
Yeah, great cast.
Yeah.
And recommended.
My number 14 is The Night Before. If you don't like Seth Rogen's kind of movies, you're not going to like this one, but I think it's like an instant Christmas classic. I had a great time. Michael Shannon steals the show every time he's in the scene. Seth Rogen, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and Anthony Mackie make a crazy trio. You never think would make sense and work together, but they worked. Two of them have worked in 50-50 before, so they had some chemistry there. And
same director as well, Jonathan Levine.
Yes.
This is definitely a movie I'll revisit every Christmas. It's a great R-rated Christmas comedy that you don't really get a lot of. I really love this movie. It was funny.
It's fun.
Number 14 for me was Creed. This is the Target Steelbook edition. Coming out of this movie, you just feel like you've witnessed like a really cool underdog sports drama. And I know that it's not that they come few and far between. We had Southpaw this year also, which was an honorable mention for me. I really enjoyed that film. This one movie was a little bit better. I loved the dynamic between Sylvester Stallone and Michael B. Jordan. I loved the character of Creed, Adonis Creed. And I'm excited to see where they go with this. I felt so sad when Sylvester Stallone didn't win that Oscar.
I wanted him to win so bad.
I know.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny because it's like the 7th movie. Very a lot of things about Star Wars that were parallels. Like the 7th movie of the franchise revitalized the franchise, and it's like kind of like Fast 5 when it started, like to really pick up that series. So
for sure.
There's a lot of potential now with that.
It's
that
the best
series.
one in a while, best Rocky film in a while.
My 13 is one of my least favorite from this director. But it's such a great movie, even as like his lower quality films are still really good. Okay. And that's The Hateful Eight.
Okay.
Tarantino film. So it's a cool, like, again, whodunit. But I like the cast is like a who's who of Tarantino regulars or people he worked with in the past. It's really cool to see everybody in the 1800s. It's weird, but it just when I first watched it, there was like a point where I'm like, okay, this is so purposely slow. You could edit here, cut here, but then I was like, okay, it's Tarantino, he does this. So I kind of let go of that kind of notion, but in the end, it still kind of is too long. But it's a good movie.
This will make an appearance on my list, Jamie.
Spoiler alert.
For sure. Spoiler alert. My number 13 is Kingsman: The Secret Service. Oh. This was a movie that I saw the trailer for. Really wasn't interested all that much in. I love the director Matthew Vaughn, who did Kick-Ass, and coming out of this movie, I was grinning ear to ear. It's such a cool throwback to James Bond movies, but also it's hyper stylized and violent and profane, and I just loved everything about this movie. I know a lot of people hate the ending. I find it crass but over the top, and it fits the movie. I enjoyed everything about this movie. The performances, Samuel L. Jackson, Michael Caine, Colin Firth in particular, who's not a big action movie guy, really sold it. I'm excited. Channing Tatum was just announced actually to be in the Kingsman
That's right,
sequel.
yeah.
Julianne Moore. I'm excited to see where they go with this.
It's a more modern day James Bond in a way.
Mm-hmm.
It's based off a comic, right?
It is.
Yeah,
it is.
So.
Very entertaining.
There you go. My 12 is the aforementioned Creed, the Steelbook edition. No, it's a great cast. Everything about it, we said it already. So, Creed.
My number 12 is Steve Jobs, directed by Danny Boyle, written by Aaron Sorkin. Fantastic dialogue, great performances, especially from Michael Fassbender, Steve Jobs, Kate Winslet,
Seth Rogen,
Jeff
Daniels.
Jeff Daniels, just a fantastic cast. A lot of people hated the idea of setting an autobiography kind of centered around 3 events. I loved it. I loved the way they shot each set of events differently with corresponding cameras of the time, and I just found this movie riveting, so intelligently written.
I love this movie. The framing, the script structure is so great, and the idea behind it is really cool. And it's a compelling story because this guy really had some deeply rooted issues with compassion, and he's so focused in his work that he gets lost in his family shuffle. So I think this film got so underrated in terms of. I mean, he got a nomination, but he didn't do well enough in the box office because it was a really good movie and it deserved more credit. So
yeah, I
liked it a lot. My 11 is pretty low to most people's standards. It's Mad Max Fury Road. I love this movie. There's nothing wrong at all about it. I just like the other stuff I liked more about it. There were other movies I liked more.
Mm-hmm.
But this took so long to make, and there's rumors, history of Tom Hardy not getting along with the director George Miller, and then Charlize Theron, and then not getting what the scope of the movie was until he saw it. He's like, I'm so sorry. It's a great movie. It's a great time. It's very little dialogue, very little story in a way, but there's really compelling characters, and didn't need a story because it's such a great ride.
My number 11 is The Martian, Ridley Scott directed, based on a book by
Andy Weir.
Yes, which Jamie read and loved.
Fantastic.
And was hyping it up for me, but it met every expectation. I was very, very entertained by this film. Great cast, great direction. Castaway in space, whatever you want to call it. It's a fantastic lead performance from Matt Damon, and a movie that I am anxious to revisit. I actually haven't watched this since theater, so I'm watching it on Blu-ray.
The movie, it's such one of the best, adaptations of a book I've ever seen. I haven't read a lot of books, sorry.
Neither have I.
But it is really well done, and like, there are some things they had to cut for time. Like this whole trip from to the next site is condensed greatly, but it's like a direct, like 1-to-1 ratio of quality. It's just really cool. My number 10 is a movie I didn't expect to like. I love time travel movies, but when I saw this film with you, I was blown away at how great of a bookend. Like, it was a perfect little sphere of a movie. Didn't need to be a sequel. Didn't need to be some overarching universe. I love Marvel, but don't get me wrong. But it was so perfectly confined and contained its own little piece. It was the movie Predestination.
Mm-hmm. It was buried in January. So underrated. Yeah. Very few people saw it.
It's one of the best time travel movies of all time. I'm serious. Like, in terms of quality and explaining time travel.
Yeah. Deals with paradoxes and the craziness of what happens when you do time travel, and it's great performance from Ethan Hawke.
And Sarah Snook.
Love the movie. My number 10 is a movie I really didn't expect to be in a top 10 list of 2015, especially with all the cool action movies and movies we wound up getting big scale, big budget movies. But that was me and Earl and the Dying Girl. This movie was a gut punch of emotion. Like, the very end of this movie was so sad. Struck me so deep, but the movie is very well written, not necessarily in a Juno type vein, but very where the characters are kind of hyper. They act smarter than teenagers necessarily act.
I was stupid as shit as a teenager.
No, but the interactions between the characters are certainly kind of quirky and whatnot. But very cool character piece. Yep. Very good performances from younger actors, as well as some older actors like Nick Offerman's in here, John Bernthal.
Yep.
Great cast. A movie that I will revisit again and again. It's just very heartfelt, very emotional.
My number 9 is a documentary film shot like a horror film. The cinematography is great. It's called The Nightmare. The guy who did Room 237 about the conspiracy theories behind The Shining also did this film, and it's so. It doesn't try to explain much of the science behind sleep paralysis, because that's what it's about, but it shows dramatizations of these people's experiences, and they're so well done. It's beautiful, like, it's creepy. It's like one of the best horror movies of the year, and it's not even a narrative film. It's just really good. And you have not seen it?
I've not seen it. I don't own it. It is on Netflix.
Yep.
I hope to see it soon, Jamie. Okay?
Yep.
My number 9 is actually the movie that wound up winning Best Picture, and that's Spotlight. Have you seen Spotlight yet?
Have not.
A really great true story. Not great in the sense that it happened, but great that these journalists at the Boston Globe were able to uncover the pedophilia that was occurring in the Catholic Church. Great cast: Michael Keaton, Mark Ruffalo, Rachel Adams, Liev Schreiber. I could go on and on. This is a very tightly constructed, well-directed film by Tom McCarthy, and I'm glad he at least got a nomination at the Oscars.
Yeah. My number 8 is the aforementioned Steve Jobs. Great movie. I just love it so much.
So many good performances. My number 8 is the aforementioned Predestination. You guys, I cannot stress it enough. You really should see this movie. Seek it out if you have not seen it.
And the less you know, the better.
For sure, yeah. Try not to. Not that the trailers spoil too much, because by the end of it, you're just going to be blown away no matter what. But like I said before, great performances. It's just an amazing sci-fi time travel movie.
My number 7 is the end of the tour with Jesse Eisenberg and Jason Segel.
Mm-hmm.
They've done serious roles before, but like the fact that these two comedic actors get in this dramatic film, and it's so effing good.
And it's just talking. It's just conversation.
It's ridiculous. And it's about the author, David Foster Wallace, who eventually committed suicide, but he's a really
influential,
enigmatic. Yeah. He's definitely a great author, and he Infinite Jest. And just like is one of the longest books ever written, and it's about his it's about the Rolling Stone interview with him, and it's just very simple. It was a very good movie, and I like it a lot.
It was one of my honorable mentions. I really enjoyed that movie. Yeah. Great performances. My number 7 is Room. Have you seen? You have not seen this yet?
I have not.
Oh, it's just, again, another emotionally draining film with 2 fantastic performances. One of the best child performances I've ever seen in my life from Jacob Tremblay. Brie Larson definitely earned the Oscar. This has one of my favorite scenes of the year, with the whole rug rollout in the back of the truck. It's intense stuff. Spoiler alert. There's no spoiler. It's in the trailer.
I didn't see the trailer.
Whatever. But great performances. William H. Macy, Jonah Allen, just a great cast, and one of those movies that really makes you just appreciate life and all that you have. I can't recommend this enough.
I'll contend the best child actor, Jake Lloyd from Phantom Menace.
Or Jingle All the Way. That guy's talented.
No, that's true.
Ted.
My number 6 is a film that most people put up higher, like Mad Max. It's Star Wars: The Force Awakens.
Okay.
I had an issue with how safe they played it.
Okay.
Very close to the chest, very simple, and very similar to the plot of New Hope and a little bit of Empire.
Sure.
But I think that's the way they were planning on doing it, making it very relatable, very easy to digest, so the episode 8 and 9 hopefully can be more compelling, more diverse.
Sure.
I mean, the first line is, "This will make things right." They know what they're doing.
It did.
So there you go. That's why I think that's a good movie.
Number 6 for me is The Hateful Eight. This started out way later in my list. Started at like number 10, then number 8, and the more I thought of it, and the more I wound up seeing it, I've watched it several times since getting it on Blu-ray. All the small character moments and all these things that you may miss on the first theatrical viewing, and I know you mentioned that it might be a little too long, and it kind of is in typical Tarantino fashion, but I love his dialogue and the performance. This is a movie that I feel like each time you revisit, you're going to find some small little detail that he's thrown in, and I just love this movie. Samuel L. Jackson, so underrated, his performance. I really think he should have gotten the Best Supporting nod at the Oscars.
He always deserves one. I mean, he's with Tarantino. He's just such a great job. Django.
Yeah, oh my gosh. Every movie he's done with Tarantino. But and also, the fact that Tarantino didn't get a screenplay nod for this is a shame. But Hateful Eight, again, I agree with you. It's not necessarily one of his best, but it's a fantastic movie nonetheless.
Yeah. My number 5, I was so ready to hate this movie. We talked about it before, but Me, Earl, and Dying Girl to me was going to be really shitty Nicholas Sparks movie type kind of thing, and it's so well done. And it's like funny, but it shouldn't be, and the tone works, and it has a good balance. But it's just the kids with cancer part really gets me down. It's just sad, but it was a good movie.
Number 5 for me was Star Wars: Force Awakens. We've already talked about it. It was a huge blockbuster, biggest movie of all time. This is just a great movie that I can't wait to watch again and again. And what can I say? It's a great movie.
Yeah, good time. My number 4 is the aforementioned The Martian. I love the book. I was so excited for the movie, and it was just as I expected and hoped. So
number 4, I am one of those people who put it high up on my list, and that's Mad Max: Fury Road. This movie blew me away from the beginning to the very end. There's no breaths. It's just constant action. Again, like I understand how people may see this as a very, limited story. Like there's not much going on thematically, but I disagree. There's a lot of cool themes about feminism and all kinds of crazy stuff that George Miller is able to work into this. Just action chase scene pretty much from one point to point A and then back again. But again, fantastic visuals, great sound. I'm glad it won a bunch of Oscars. 6. That's awesome.
My number 3 is probably one of the best Pixar movies ever made. It's up there. It's probably number 1 or 2 for me, or 2 or 3, you should say.
The Good Dinosaur.
I was actually gonna say Cars 2, but
that one came out this year.
It's Inside Out. And this movie is so well done. Voice cast is perfect. The idea is so high concept, and I love these when they're able to pull these off that well.
Oh, when they have such a high concept and they sell it to little kids, and it makes sense.
And it's so relatable to everybody, and the idea is so original. I gotta watch it again. I haven't seen it since the theater, but I can't stop thinking about it.
Very good. My number 3 was The Revenant. I mentioned it earlier. It's just one of the most beautiful looking films I've ever seen. I'm constantly puzzling over how they created certain shots and how they pulled off that bear scene. DiCaprio, I'm so glad he finally won the Oscar. May not necessarily be my favorite of his roles, but I mean, he certainly deserved it.
I'm gonna need that because it's my number 2. The Revenant. This movie, I don't get it. I'm so this puts me in. These are the kind of movies that put me in awe. I just don't get how they're made. They're so hard to pull off, and they do such a great job, and then it looks so flawless. I mean, they spent 10 months in snow.
Yeah.
Really shooting this with all natural light, and they had to use an RE to get that amount of light. And they had to move around the world a lot to get the snow, but the idea is that they pulled it off, and it's breathtaking.
Now, honestly, from number 5, from Star Wars to number 1, you literally could have just. I don't care what you put order there.
Yeah.
It's so hard to order these top ones.
Yeah.
But from 5 to 1, so these two I flip flop back and forth on, but I had to stick with my gut and go with number 2, Ex Machina. This was almost my number 1. It's such a small, tightly constructed Twilight Zone esque sci-fi masterpiece. I love this movie. The 3 lead performances from Donald Gleason, Oscar Isaac, and Alicia Vikander are just out of this world. Who directed it? Alex
Garland.
Alex Garland.
Wrote 28 Days Later.
Gosh, just a fantastic movie that rivals, some of the sci-fi greats in some of its themes and messages and the overall scope of it. Fantastic. And Jamie, I'll probably hand that to you, I'm assuming.
Yep. My number 1 is Ex Machina. This movie is just perfect in a lot of ways. There's some travesties in the fact that Alicia Vikander was nominated for Danish Girl, not for this, or the fact that it didn't win Best Screenplay because it should have.
Or was nominated for Best Picture. It did win Best Visual Effects, which is cool.
Yes,
but,
yeah, they pulled it off practically, I guess. But sci-fi had a great year. I mean, between the big blockbuster like Star Wars, into the smaller films like Ex Machina and Predestination, sci-fi, because of geek culture being at its peak, but there's so many opportunities to have well done sci-fi movies nowadays, and it's nice to see. Like, you get this classic 80 cheesy movies, like Scanners or Reanimator, but now it's like these are realistically going to be happening on a consistent basis, and they're going to be high quality.
And my number 1, we talked about it earlier, it's Inside Out. I know I'm not the target demographic for this, a little girl, but I love this movie. It hit me on a conceptual level, emotional level. I laughed, was happy, I cried. It just hit everything. And when I was going through my top 15 list, I wanted the movie that was gonna sum up, what movie that I would remember so many years from now, which ones I'll introduce to, my kids or whatever. Like, this is a movie that I feel like will be around for a really long time, no matter how badass Mad Max was or cool Star Wars was or whatever. This movie, I feel like, kind of captured it all as a moviegoer, and I know it's stupid to say, but I really enjoyed this movie, and it's my number 1 of the year.
Makes sense.
No shame. So that's our show, guys. Every week we'll have a little bit of a list like this on just random kind of stuff, but we're going to try and tie it into, current theatrical releases or just stuff, movie news, whatever. So, Keanu coming out next week, we're going to be doing our top favorite cat movies.
Yeah.
I don't know how many we're going to come up with or what they'll be, but I'm really excited to see
what this list.
Oh, this is going to be so many.
That's Brandon.
That's Jamie.
We need movies.